Welcome. While I wish we could be together in person, I'm thrilled to welcome so many of our alumni and friends who are able to join us from St. Louis, across the country and world to celebrate tonight. I'm Courtney Berg, a 2005 Brown School graduate and chair of the Brown School Awards of Distinction Steering Committee. Every year, our committee has the honor of reviewing nominations for our Distinguished Alumni and Emerging Leaders Awards. And each year, I am reminded of the visionary leadership, the transformative change, and commitment to equity that each and every one of our alumni embraces. This evening, we will be honoring a remarkable group of emerging leaders and distinguished alumni, and I'm so proud to call them my fellow Brown School alumni. I'd now like to take a moment to welcome Chancellor Andrew D. Martin. Chancellor Martin was appointed as Washington University's 15th chancellor in 2018. This is a return to St. Louis for Chancellor Martin. As many of you know, he is a proud alumnus of Washington University, having received his doctorate in political science in 1998. He has served in various positions here, including as the Charles Nagel Chair of Constitutional Law and Political Science at the School of Law, Vice Dean of the School of Law, Founding Director of the Center for Empirical Research in the Law, and Chair of the Department of Political Science and Arts and Sciences. He joins us most recently from the University of Michigan, where he served as Dean of the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. This is the first time the Brown School alumni community has the chance to welcome Chancellor Martin. And I know I speak for all of us when I say that we are thrilled at Chancellor Martin's commitment to Washington University for St. Louis. Please join me in welcoming Chancellor Martin.
Thank you, Courtney, and thanks to all of you for being with us to honor some of the incredible leaders in the Brown School community. I'm pleased to have the chance to address you virtually. Through these difficult times, the Brown School has proven to be a leader at Washington University, in our community, and across the country. And the alumni we are here to celebrate exemplify this transformative leadership. They have thrived in their professional settings, creating long-lasting impact both in their fields and in their communities. These graduates are emerging and distinguished leaders who, by their example, are paving the way for the next generation of Brown School alumni. It is a special honor as well to be celebrating Shanti and Mano Kanduka and Eddie and Betsy Lawler. These first couples of the Brown School have provided extraordinary leadership for our students, faculty, and staff for more than 40 years. Deans Kanduka and Lawler created lasting legacies through expanding their international programs, opening new research centers, introducing public health and social policy, and by providing a top education to changemakers. We have all benefited from Shanti, Mano, Eddie, and Betsy's dedication to bring about positive change in individuals, in our communities, and in the world. It is my pleasure to honor their achievements as well as their impact on the Brown School and Washington University as a whole. Congratulations to all of tonight's honorees. I'm now pleased to introduce Mary McKay, Nidor Family and Centene Corporation Dean of the Brown School. Dean McKay joined the Brown School here at WashU in 2016, where she has continued the school's legacy of innovative education, evidence-based research, and preparing leaders to address social, health, economic, and racial equity concerns, both locally and globally. Please join me in welcoming Mary McKay.
So welcome. Thank you all for joining us tonight to celebrate the inspiring impact of our honorees. Though we may not be able to gather in person, I am thrilled to know so many alumni, friends, members of the Brown School community that you have joined us tonight from across the country to celebrate. It's a privilege to be the Dean of the Brown School. I've had the pleasure of meeting with many of our alumni and friends, and I have to tell you, I am continually encouraged to see the dedication and investment that all of you have on the fields of social work, public health, and social policy. As our alumni base broadens in size and scope, tonight's recognition of our alumni reflects the progress that we have collectively made, the importance of our efforts to bring about positive social change. Tonight, we recognize Brown School changemakers, including the Emerging Leader Award will be presented tonight to 4 alumni. This recognition is given to alumni who earned their degree from the Brown School in the past 10 years and have already made a tremendous impact in their career, the field, and on their communities. Our emerging leaders represent the diversity of a Brown School degree, as these 4 alums have leveraged their degrees to tell stories through photographs of the diverse community many of us call home, advocate and give a voice to children and families in Detroit, lift up social work and nonprofit strategy and economic development, and exemplify leadership in higher education and community building. Lindy, Jessica, Jillian, and Karl, I am so proud of all that you have accomplished so far, and I can't wait to see what's next for each of you. We will also be honoring our 4 alumni with the Distinguished Alumni Award. Through tireless commitment, innovation, and strong leadership, these alumni have applied their Brown School education to alleviate society's most urgent concerns. Throughout their careers, they've made outstanding contributions to their field and to society. Each of our honorees has taken a different path, combining social work and social justice with a passion for history, taking social work training to the police department, making a profound impact in the lives of children in China, and last, but certainly not least, changing the lives of immigrant families in St. Louis. Gwen, Sally, Melody, and Suzanne, you all embody the values of the Brown School and are each incredibly deserving of this Distinguished Alumni Award that you are receiving tonight. Lastly, I am so pleased to be awarding the Dean's Medal to 2 incredibly special Brown School couples. Shanti Kanduka and Eddie Lawler led the Brown School for over 40 years combined, with Mano Kanduka and Betsy Lawler by their sides. I cannot think of 4 people more deserving of the Brown School Dean's Medal. Tonight's honorees had originally been selected for our 2020 Awards of Distinction as our recipients. However, due to the pandemic, we had to postpone the ceremony. I am so deeply grateful that we can gather virtually this evening to recognize these incredible individuals. As you will see in their remarks, some were able to record in person prior to the pandemic, while others were filmed over Zoom. If the last year has taught us anything, we've learned the importance of being flexible and adaptable in all that we do. I'm excited to be joined virtually by Brown School faculty, volunteers, and past honorees who will assist me in introducing our award recipients. I recently spoke with our honorees and shared my personal congratulations with each of them. And they are joined virtually by close family and friends. I'm so proud to be able to share the stories of our honorees with all of you this evening. Please use the chat feature tonight to share your congratulations as we meet our emerging leaders, distinguished alums, and the Dean's Medal honorees.
I am so deeply honored to introduce Lindy Drew as one of this year's emerging leaders. Lindy came to the Brown School with a background in documentary photography, youth development, and international social work. While she was pursuing 2 degrees, a Master of Social Work and a Master of Public Health, Lindy co-founded a community arts initiative known as Humans of St. Louis. What started out as a creative project has become an important platform for the St. Louis community to listen to each other, to engage in authentic and important conversations, and better understand one another. We are so grateful that Lindy chose the Brown School for Graduate Study, where she became even more grounded in a social justice orientation. The foundational skills learned through the Brown School have helped Lindy to connect with the humans she encounters through active listening, honoring people's strengths, and amplifying the beauty and dignity in every person. Humans of St. Louis has experienced tremendous growth in the past few years, collaborating with organizations like Forward Through Ferguson, the MICA Project, and Missouri Foundation for Health, and is publishing a book this spring. The Humans of St. Louis team captivate and compel their more than 130,000 followers with visual stories that echo at a more intimate scale the larger community conversations that are occurring in our region. Conversations that address race, racial equity, gender equality, LGBTQ rights, health, education, poverty, cultural awareness, and more. I am inspired and grateful for Lindy and for the insights into the deeply human experiences of my neighbors that is created through this platform. Lindy's authenticity and love for her work and the community is unmatched. She calls us to listen authentically and reminds us that there is something to be learned from everyone. Congratulations, Lindy.
I had been working at a group home for kids in Phoenix, Arizona. And after a few years of working with them, I felt like I needed to do a little bit more to understand the system of immigration and social work. And so when I ended up finishing up at my job at Casa de Sueños, the dream house, I had applied to a few institutions, and WashU is really the best fit. I think what I would have wanted to know when I was first starting out as a Brown School student is that you don't have to have it all figured out the day you get there or right after orientation week. I thought that coming to school here would provide me with building blocks to go back to work with that population in that setting. And then everything changed. Everything about Humans of St. Louis is an extension of what I learned in classes at the Brown School, and it feeds the work. From every interview to every collaborative project that we have, to even like building something out of nothing with this thing that's become a business now. The thing that I love the most is the conversation that's happening on the site. The fact that we've created a platform with such a following for people to jump into the conversation, to express their ideas, to give examples of where people could go for assistance or help in some cases, that has been phenomenal because I don't have the answers to all of these things, right? You know, coming back to school as a non-traditional student 10 years after I've been working, for me it was the perfect time. And so I was able to build on what I had learned from travel and from work already. And the group work from the Brown School, even if I didn't see it coming, completely prepared me for doing this position. Coming into the Brown School, wanting to do social work and public health, but having a background in art and photography and wanting to use that as well. They were so accommodating and supportive of that. It's been really touching to be able to show this work in places like the Regional Arts Commission and at WashU in the Duck. I hope it ultimately influences people to have conversations at the table with others, or to recognize the homeless person on the street that they might go by, or to say hi to someone who's of a different ethnicity or race than they are, or to start a conversation to say, wow, there's so much to learn about you as a human being. It's so important.
I am so proud to introduce Jessica Eiland Anders. I have the honor of advising and mentoring Jessica as a Master of Social Work student in the Social and Economic Development concentration, and then as a trusted colleague. As the first practicum student at RISE Community Development, her work underscored and demonstrated to the community development world that social work is transdisciplinary. Jessica brings her perseverance to each role she takes on. After graduation, she worked at the Skinker de Bolivar Community Council, where they discovered her strengths and skills and promoted her. Through the Community Development Network, board members at Northside Community Housing successfully recruited her to be their CEO president, and then RISE brought her back on board as a project manager. She found time to serve on boards, including the St. Patrick Center and Community Builders Network, and in various community leadership roles. St. Louis couldn't keep her, and Jessica moved back to her home state of Michigan and is now the Special Projects Manager at the Skillman Foundation, where she is a champion for Detroit youth. In both her professional and personal life, Jessica distinguishes herself as a fierce advocate for resident voice and equitable community development in communities long suffering from ongoing racism. Jessica truly understands the value of career learning, leadership, and community service. She embodies the values of the Brown School, and I am so honored to celebrate her tonight with the Emerging Leader Award. Congratulations, Jessica.
Growing up, some of my aunts were actually social workers, and one had encouraged me to look into social work, but I just didn't recognize how I could have a career path, even though I loved everything community development. When I learned about the Brown School, I was just blown away because it was one of the few programs that had such a strong emphasis on community development versus it just being like, yeah, sure, come on in. I think at the Brown School is where I found some of my greatest mentors and friends. My internships at the time were at RISE and also Beyond Housing. So to go from being one of their first practicum students to being later a project manager at RISE was huge for me. I went back to Michigan really because I wanted to be closer to my family. My parents are here. My now husband is here. He was kind of willing to go wherever I went, but really I've always envisioned that I would come back here and really be able to continue to work in the city and be a part of supporting all the greatness that has been in Detroit for more than a century. Historically, I've been more focused on neighborhoods and, housing. And so for me, working at the Skillman Foundation was a shift because they put more emphasis on community and individual than a typical foundation does. On the one hand, I think I'm known for my diplomacy and ability to be able to bring different groups and people together in a way where it feels comfortable. But at the same time, I think I have the ability to be very outspoken and probably maybe a bit of a nag even about specific issues that are very important to me. I have no problem calling people regularly, going down to their office and finding them, whatever it takes to make sure that the work that I'm doing is viewed as a priority. Ultimately, it's the outcome and the impact that we're achieving in whatever work that I'm doing that matters more so than the vehicle that we're taking to get there.
I am so honored to introduce Jillian and Karl Gunther as Emerging Leader honorees. This Brown School couple, a veritable dream team for good, hit the ground running, making tremendous impact in their professional lives, deepened by their individual and shared commitment to the betterment of the greater St. Louis community. After completing her Master's of Social Work with a concentration in social and economic development, Jillian brought her strategic thinking armed with a social worker's knowledge to Beyond Housing, where she served as a member of the executive team for nearly 6 years, guiding powerful work that continues to improve the lives of many to this day. She then brought her impressive leadership and strategic planning skills to U.S. Bancorp Community Development Corporation. She quickly rose to the role she now holds, Senior Vice President for Strategy and Employee Experience. Jillian has oversight of organizational strategy, communications, employee experience, and the organization's commitment to advance diversity, equity, inclusion in the workplace and through the application of a racial equity lens on the organization's commitment to investment and lending practices. She is having real impact across the country. Through this work, she also stays connected to the Brown School by supporting the Racial Equity Fellows students and participating in the advisory board for the Social Impact Leadership Concentration. It's been a true gift to get to know Jillian through our work together at US Bank, and I believe she's an outstanding representative of the values of the Brown School. And Karl is too. He also earned a Master's of Social Work at the Brown School and quickly started making a difference in St. Louis. Starting as a community development specialist at the University of Missouri, St. Louis, Karl supported capacity building programs, community forums, and neighborhood research through the program Creating Whole Communities. He continued this mission to build university community initiatives as the director of the Anchor Institution Initiative, putting together a university-wide strategy to use the university's economic power to positively impact the local community. With great success behind him and a bright future ahead, Karl is now the Assistant Vice Chancellor of Economic and Community Development. It is amazing to see the work that he's accomplished at UMSL and the impact that it has had on our community. Additionally, Karl co-founded and is currently an ex officio board member of Invest STL, a fund dedicated to accelerating equitable neighborhood development in the St. Louis region. With their Brown School Foundation, Jillian and Karl have made and are making waves of the best possible kind. They are committed to the versions of progress and change that we need so desperately, and I've had the great personal and professional pleasure to watch them develop and apply their brilliance. And I'm clearly not alone. In 2013, Karl was recognized by the St. Louis Business Journal as 30 under 30, and in 2020, Jillian was recognized as 40 under 40. I'm proud to call Jillian and Karl friends. I've had the chance to understand that the things they do and pursue, all the hard work to improve the St. Louis region and well beyond, all of it is a reflection of their fundamental goodness as two remarkable people. Jillian and Karl are tremendous emerging leaders, and I can't wait to see the impact that they'll continue to make. Congratulations to you both, Jillian and Karl.
The Brown School, an amazing community, and it's built by your classmates. It's built by the faculty, teachers, administrators, and that whole experience is what makes it special.
We met the first week of school, actually, just by accident, and kind of stayed attached the whole time and after, clearly. Our very close friends now are still from our class at the Brown School. Many stayed in St. Louis, and it just so happened that there was a lot of interest in our year in the space of community development, which is where we both have our careers. So that was a really meaningful experience to find that group of people who were very passionate about St. Louis and very passionate about community change.
I'm still at the University of Missouri St. Louis. I've had an unbelievable ride. I've been blessed every step along the way and have been able to work on forming the Community Builders Network, to supporting the formation of Invest STL, which is a community development investment initiative that's now at the Community Foundation, to what I do now, which is working with the university on how it can leverage its role as an institution in community wealth building and community economic development.
Every position that I've had has not existed before I had it. So I'm a builder, and that is something that I really enjoy. And so I think if I stay in that space, I'll always be happy in what I'm doing.
Another joy that's emerged over time is, as we are lucky enough to build and work on civic initiatives, the ability to work with leaders from the Brown School and the greater Washington University community on civic initiatives, and to continue to learn but do work together. And so it's great to have that relationship evolve over time, from one of learning and absorption to sharing and getting to collaborate and work together.
One of the things I've been really impressed with is the focus by the Brown School on issues of race and racial equity. And I know that that is becoming really a big part of the school and the focus. Having the tools then to know how to solution with that lens in mind, I think is going to be tremendous for the ways in which interventions are built over time. So I think coupling that with the excellent work that the Brown School has already done in preparing leaders to really think about evidence and research and making sure that we're pairing those things together, I think will be really useful as we look ahead.
Part of what the Brown School is a community of learners, of practitioners. It's a network of supporters in leaders and experts. And if the Brown School continue to think about how it mobilizes that community on our region's most critical issues and puts that power and that connectivity and that commitment into play, our region can have a brighter future than it does now.
There is something special about the experience that you had as a student at the Brown School. And let me just say that you are bringing something very unique and something very needed to any organization that you're coming to. And do the work to translate those skills, because once you do, it's going to be immensely important.
That full slate of experience, from the friendships, obviously the Brown School gave us a family, to the mentorship, to the education, to the community connections, all of that coming together makes the Brown School an incredibly special place.
It is my pleasure to introduce one of my mentors, Suzanne Laloran. Suzanne attended Washington University for her undergraduate degree and had a successful career in the insurance field before deciding to return to graduate school for her Master's of Social Work at the Brown School. After graduating, she took a position at the International Institute of St. Louis. Suzanne dedicated herself for over 20 years to being an advocate for refugee and immigrants in our community. She advanced to Director of Social Work, Senior Vice President, and finally, President of International Institute Community Development Corporation. Her tireless efforts to train organizations in cultural competency and connect with healthcare, economic development, and social service providers gave a voice to the St. Louis immigrant population. Suzanne also secured the first federal contract in St. Louis to combat human trafficking. Her work and leadership has saved lives in the community, and the systems and programs that she implemented will continue to positively impact the region. Suzanne is a tremendous asset to the social work profession and to the Brown School community. Suzanne, congratulations, felicidades, on being a 2021 Distinguished Alumni.
Well, I got my undergraduate degree from Washington University, and when I decided to change careers, I had no knowledge of Brown School. I just said, well, I went to Washington U, let me see what they have available. And little did I know that it was one of the top-ranked schools of social work in the country. And so it just made sense for me to come back here after being away from school for 20 some odd years. I'm a pretty head-centered person, but social work calls on you to have empathy for other people and try to meet them where they are. And that was a set of skills that I needed to be a more effective social worker. Yes, I cared about grades and finishing something on time, but really it was about the learning that was so important to me. Before I became a social worker, I was an actuary for an insurance company. I was there for 22 years, but I reached a point where I really wanted to be in an environment where the mission was driving what we did. I didn't speak another language. I didn't have any experience with immigrants or refugees, but I really was drawn to that. And my heart is with the International Institute. I loved working there, and I care deeply about its success and all of the people that are still there. And I was there for 20 years, so I guess it worked well for me. Any teacher will tell you the best way to learn something is to have to teach it. I taught as an adjunct at Brown for a number of years, and I absolutely loved that. I was able to deepen my understanding of culture and how it plays out in the way people see the world and the way they function. I see the world through a set of cultural lenses. Well, everybody else does too. And so how do we find a way to recognize someone else's cultural lenses and adapt what we do to work for someone who doesn't have the same background as we do? I was very touched and I was very flattered to know that even after being gone for several years, that people thought I made a difference and deserved some recognition. I feel very lucky. I've led a very intentional life, and I think it's paid off for me. And now I just enjoy retirement.
Perhaps every social worker is a bit of a storyteller, but very few social workers have the raw talent, careful practice, observational skills, and professional training to do the kind of storytelling that Gwendolyn Moore achieves. Anyone who visited the award-winning African American Freedom Struggle in St. Louis exhibit at the Missouri History Museum knows that it was curated by a superior student of social history and a superb storyteller. After her training at the Brown School, Gwen began her career in a traditional way, doing school social work, followed by work in mental health, drug and alcohol abuse. Gwen then combined her social work values with her passion for history, completing a master's degree at IU before returning to St. Louis in 2004 to become an historian at the History Museum. Her current title is Curator of Urban Landscapes and Urban Identity. Gwen is an incredible oral historian, finding creative ways to tell the sagas of people, places, and issues. Like most Brown School distinguished alums, Gwen's achievements are too numerous to mention here. Suffice it to say that she continues to embody the values of social work and the Brown School. I'm pleased and honored to celebrate with her this evening. Congratulations, Gwen.
I was influenced by a woman who worked for Family and Children's Services. Her name was Mrs. Hassenflew. I'll never forget that name. My parents were foster parents, and she was the social worker that worked with my family. And I admired her, and she gave me a lot of advice about if I was to pursue social work, what kind of social work I should pursue. So that was my career path, starting from age 15 or so. A lot of African-American women went into teaching and social work because we couldn't get jobs doing anything else. And, you needed Black teachers for Black schools, and you needed Black social workers to minister to the Black population. So social workers, Black social workers, have been activists as well, because you're dealing with people that are usually marginalized. And if you fight for them, you're automatically propelled into activism and social justice issues. It's just sort of natural. I was in the trenches. I was doing good work. I was doing laudatory work. I was doing unselfish work. And I think I really touched a lot of lives. That experience of working day to day with people. And that means I affected families, children, parents, the society as a whole, their communities. When you really think about it, every time you change one of those lives, you're not just changing one life. You're changing many, many, many lives, and you're changing the whole community. My Brown School training is such a part of me. It's a part of everything that I do. It's really helped me in every pursuit that I've gone into. Even in my present job, I really give the Brown School all the credit for the success that I've had in the field that I'm in now, which is history. I really treasure to know that someone thought enough of me, that the Brown School thought enough of me to give me this high honor, to bestow it upon me. It really is an honor. The fact that I was able to change lives, it means so much to me.
I'm honored to introduce Sally Panzer, one of tonight's Distinguished Alumni Award honorees. Sally earned a Master's of Social Work from the Brown School and began a distinguished career in law enforcement. Sally has used her social work skills throughout her career, investigating everything from burglary to child abuse and domestic abuse. She is an accomplished crisis negotiator, leading to her role as a crisis intervention team officer. Now, as a lieutenant with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, Sally is the commander over officer wellness and the crisis intervention team. Sally has dedicated herself to working with officers and community members, connecting those in mental health crisis to the services that they need. She has lectured about crisis interventions at universities and national conferences and has been honored with the Department of Excellence Award and 2 Police Chief Letters of Commendation.
Sally continues to strive to improve the lives of her fellow officers and members of the community, and we are so proud tonight to honor her achievements with the Brown School Distinguished Alumni Award.
A friend of mine years ago, we were talking, she's like, you were just like such a social worker and you just need to, pull it together and go. And I'm like, okay. And so I just kind of applied, we did some research and applied, and there you go, kind of long story short. So my career path is probably, shall we say, definitely not the norm for most GWB students. I wanted to use my skills in police work and law enforcement. So I went into law enforcement as opposed to going into like an office setting and doing actual clinical work. I'm in my 20th year. We endure a lot of trauma. You can never prepare yourself for that, but you can learn how to mitigate a lot of that and then take those steps to help you further down the road. So I work with a lot of trauma therapists here in the area that specialize with law enforcement. Was heavily involved with CIT, which is Crisis Intervention Team. So did a lot with that as a coordinator for St. Louis State Police. And hostage negotiation, I was a crisis negotiator for them, in charge of the team for a while. And also the officer wellness program that we developed. It's such a huge thing. I mean, last year we had 219 unfortunate suicides from law enforcement, and that's not even including firemen, that's just law enforcement alone. I've had to work with officers before who've called me and just asked for help and just wanted to talk. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. Talk to me. I still get a lot of calls and questions, and I still have a lot of connections. So my hands and feet are still in it to some degree, particularly for officer wellness, like outside of the department, not just within. But I'm doing a lot of speaking for officer wellness and helping all first responders, not just officers, but all first responders. The training I received, the skills, the experience from internships even really help so much when dealing with people on CIT level or in the officer wellness level. Keep your dreams alive. Definitely go for your dreams and always have those in there, but also be able to switch to realistic goals within those dreams. Don't necessarily always settle yourself into one track that you think you're going to go to. Be open to other tracks, and kind of going against the norm is okay too. If you're going to lead a different career path like I did. I mean, it's different. You don't see it very often, but it works. And then you can use those skills every day on the street, just dealing with somebody who's not necessarily in crisis, but just having kind of a bad day.
As the Associate Dean for Social Work, I'm honored to introduce Melody Zhang as she receives the Distinguished Alumni Award for her tremendous work. Melody earned a Master's of Social Work with a concentration in children, youth, and families. Since graduation, Melody has demonstrated an incredible commitment and dedication to serving the children of the world. She worked as an adoption social worker in St. Louis before returning to China in 2004. In China, Melody developed Children's Hope Foundation, an organization dedicated to providing medical care and assistance to children in need. Under her leadership, Children's Hope China provided funding for surgeries for over 8,000 children, sponsored 3,000 children, and built the first shelter for abused girls. We were pleased to welcome Melody and her family back to St. Louis in 2016. Melody continues to work with the Children's Hope Foundation and with adoption-related issues. It is a pleasure to celebrate Melody as a Brown School Distinguished Alumni. Congratulations, Melody.
I am the result of a huge event in China. That's 1989, Tiananmen Massacre. When that happened, it changed my life. I no longer want to be a journalist. I want to do something can actually make a difference, and I want to know the truth. In 1990s, there were a lot of orphan children in China. A lot of families want to adopt them. So I was a coordinator helping American families adopting children from China. I was doing the work already and I want to do a better job. So I said, I better study. And I realized adoption belonged to social work field. And then I came to St. Louis and happened to be in the city where famous Washington U is. So I decided get the best. In the beginning, I remember first year foundation of social work practice shocked me. I could not understand because there's huge difference between the two countries. At that point, I really enjoyed all the series, believe it or not. I liked attachment theory. I guess I'm the kind of person love school, so I just studied it and then later on tried to make sense of practice and theory. I'm the co-founder to Children's Hope International. We mainly want to help people to understand there's love, and we want to pass that love to each other. We don't brag about it, or we don't talk about it, but that's the foundation of everything. My two youngest children, they are ready to go to school, and we have 3 older adopted girls too. They're in their 30s now. It's wonderful. I love it. I didn't plan on any of this. Being in the adoption field changed it all. Like, children are the most wonderful gift we have. Love for each other is the main driving force for the profession. I just love doing the actual work, like hands in the mud, and never get tired of it. Helping the younger generation understand the truth of life and the importance of love and help each other is one of them, the big one.
I now have the distinct pleasure of honoring Shanti and Mano Kanduka and Eddie and Betsy Lawler with the Brown School Dean's Medal. There is no one more fitting for this recognition than these extraordinary couples who combined led the Brown School for over 40 years and continue to have tremendous impact on the students, faculty, and community. I've had the privilege of learning from them as mentors, colleagues, and friends. I am so grateful for their many contributions and all that they have done to make the Brown School what it is today. Shanti and Eddie recognize the immense growth needed to underscore the importance of the work of our students and faculty. They expanded the Brown School academically as well as physically. Under Shanti, the Brown School became 2 buildings, adding Goldfarb Hall, and under Eddie, we more than doubled in size, adding Hillman Hall. You will now hear from the honorees, as well as several members of our community who wanted to share their memories of and congratulations with these wonderful members of our community. Congratulations, Shanti, Mano, Eddie, and Betsy.
It's not every day that one gets to stand on the shoulders of greatness. And when you think of 2 deans in succession, building the trajectory that the university has been a real beneficiary, they've left things in better than when they came by far. And it's made an inspiration for the school in every way to stand very tall because of the work they've done before Dean McKay has joined.
Because of Shanti, this school of social work became much more international than any other school of social work. We had international students, international projects. He also built the school in terms of transforming it into an academic, research-based, serious social science school. It was his agenda from the beginning. Shanti, a very soft-spoken man, he hardly ever would say anything forcefully, but when he spoke, we paid a lot of attention.
He would always remind us about the importance of the staff and about the people, and not just the 1 or 2 individuals we think about. I think he really lived this idea of social work and wanted the university to be a place that was good to people. And I think that we all learned from that. We knew that Shanti would tell us if we were going a little off base, and I think that's very powerful.
When I think of Mano, I think of just the grace that she brought into every room when she would come with Shanti. It was such a delight when she joined Shanti at a meeting or an event, but she was so full of grace and dignity and acceptance that she always made me feel so much more wonderful than I felt before she showed up.
If it wasn't for Dean Shanti, I wouldn't be where I am, frankly, because I would have dropped out if it wasn't his genuine care. And to me, it touches me, and sometimes I shed tears because, there's so many other people to think about.
Dean Kanduka was masterful at planning and orchestrating a plan that kept the Brown School in a position of strength and good reputation, and I will always be grateful for that. Dean Eddie just took us to different levels in community building, external, and community building, internal, with the new complex.
Eddie made a priority to fly from Chicago weekly and to come down and sort of go to school with Shanti and to ask him questions and try to learn as much as he could from him. And I found that so endearing because Shanti was someone that I adored. Eddie was someone I greatly respected and already had tremendous affection and regard for. And to know that with Eddie, we would get the best of Eddie, but also a very strong legacy that Shanti was graciously willing to share with Eddie and that Eddie was so eager to receive.
I was so grateful that Eddie was willing to sit on my national board of my organization, Oasis, and he gave such great advice and leadership for us. And dear Betsy was an Oasis tutor, so both of them, again, not only really enhanced the presence of the school, but their warmth and their reach out into the community and embracing everyone, I think, was just wonderful.
Connie and I and Betsy and Eddie have become great friends. They are always the same people, and that's a tremendous compliment to them. They embodied together the Brown School and made everyone feel a part of what they were trying to accomplish, how they were trying to accomplish it, and they did it with grace and support and made you feel valued. I think that Eddie and Betsy made the biggest contributor or the smallest contributor philanthropically feel as valued, as important, and as part of the Brown School enterprise as each and every person was.
Betsy was highly capable and friendly. She was so friendly and open, and she had a quick wit and also a delightful sense of humor.
Remove those two couples, and all you would see is an absence of programs, an absence of social work, public health, and social policy presence in the university. Without them, we would not have what it is that we touch today when we touch Brown. They were the right deans in the right order.
That's good. That's well said.
The Kandukas were, very much a part of us being able to develop the university culture almost as a family, or very much as a family.
One of the things I said to Eddie Lawler as we recruited him, with Shanti's leadership, we became number one in social work. And my charge to Eddie was to put some distance between us and those who are number two. Mm-hmm. And he did it.
Shanti, Mano, Eddie, and Betsy, Tom and I want to thank you for daring greatly with your work, which has brought the Brown School to the school of excellence that it is today. Not only have you touched lives of those that walk the halls of the Brown School, your relationships and commitment to faculty, staff, and the student body has gone out into the world, making great changes that will last a lifetime. Congratulations on receiving this very special Dean's Medal.
Manorama and I are grateful for this marvelous honor. My mind is crowded with numerous agreeable memories of my long association with St. Louis and Washington University. My family had a wonderful time in this community. We made lasting friendships here. Both of our daughters, Abba and Seema, grew up in University City and Chesterfield, lived in South 40 as students, and are proud alumni of WashU. Their spouses and our grandchildren have nothing but sweet recollections of their frequent visits to this picturesque campus. And who knows, our great-grandkids may also one day benefit from the unparalleled education at this highly selective university. I could not have been more fortunate in my professional life. Working under Bill Danforth and Mark Wrighton was a singular privilege. Enjoying the confidence and cooperation of the nation's top social work faculty was more than I could ask for. Attracting and educating thousands of bright and idealistic students from all corners of the globe was the ultimate fulfillment of a dean's dream. I foresee nothing but a great future for the Brown School. Its resources will grow, its reputation will soar, its international and interdisciplinary reach will remain undiminished. It will continue to pursue excellence and eschew elitism. It will be hospitable to practice and policy innovations. Wedded to rigorous inquiry, it will shun seductive certitudes of the day. Above all, as a school of social work, it will retain its unshakable commitment to social service, social justice, and to human dignity and human rights. I was fortunate not only to have far-sighted predecessors, but also extremely capable successors. As I noted on my retirement from deanship in 2004, nothing succeeds like a successor. I'm truly happy that my good friend Eddie Lawler and his wife Betsy are also receiving this coveted medal this evening. Congratulations, Eddie and Betsy, and many, many thanks, Mary, for this great honor.
We came here in 2004, so it's hard to believe we've had such a long run here now. And we came from Chicago, where we'd been there for 20 years.
Even though Eddie's had his career in social work, I think I really didn't come to appreciate what it was until I came here. It was very obvious how the Brown School and the students and the graduates and the alums have made an impact on the city.
We joke about the impact on our life because it was our life for 12 years, and I think the overarching effect on us has been all the friends we've made, close friends from every walk of the school's life, from alumni to faculty, students, and even community partners. And so many of these people that we worked with have become our personal and life friends.
In the opportunities we had to gather people in our home, we could see the interaction of the students and faculty. And for me, it was very eye-opening in a really interesting way to understand the community of St. Louis.
The advice I always gave to students, it's a bad word, but to exploit the place, to take advantage and be assertive of all the faculty and staff resources you have. And it doesn't come passively. You have to knock on doors, you have to reach out. And for students that take advantage of this place, it's amazing.
To see teaching taking place, to see research and data gathering in the field. This is the Brown School faculty at work. These are all the things that they do and excel at.
It was just a wonderful experience of both family and the Brown School community to build a public health program, to launch social policy, to open the Hillman Hall and the Clark Fox Forum. These are one-in-a-lifetime experiences as an administrative leader, so I obviously still take great pride in the whole community coming together to support those initiatives. Shanti and I, it turns out, were inaugural members of something called the St. Louis Group. And it's still called the St. Louis Group, and it was because the first meetings were held here at Washington University. So Shanti was an amazing host, and it was, for the deans, just a really remarkable experience.
And I was just amazed at the outpouring of love and support for Shanti and Mano, and just kind of in awe of what we were stepping into, taking on those roles that they seemed to fill with such ease and grace.
This award is very special to us because, after all, we've been on the other side of this equation and have seen the thought that goes into selecting recipients of this, and also to be part of the club of really special people who've contributed so much to this school. It's quite humbling, and it's a really great honor for us.
Please join me in congratulating our 2021 Awards of Distinction honorees. I know that our students and soon-to-be graduates are inspired by our alumni and encouraged by their respective commitments to the fields of social work, public health, and social policy. I hope that following the ceremony, you'll take a moment to reach out and personally congratulate our honorees. I do look forward to a time when we can all gather together. Until then, I hope tonight's event has renewed your commitment to advancing social work, public health, and social policy. Thank you, and good night.